Hey everyone, it is 6 weeks until Ironman St. George 70.3. About a year ago, almost to the day, I said that if my races last summer were canceled, I would keep training and I would do my races regardless. So that ended up being a complete lie. I completely did not foresee the impacts that everything would have on my training, the lack of facilities, my own stress, and honestly, a bit of actually kind of depression even a little bit late last summer. I don't really talk about that too much on this channel because I feel like in the grand scheme of things, I am so incredibly privileged that my problems are pretty meaningless compared to everything else. But regardless, where I'm at right now is 6 weeks to St. George, and I am basically terrified. Like it's gonna be bad. But here's what I'm going to do. Over the next 6 weeks, I'm going to commit to training my ass off and just giving it everything that I've got to be as prepared as possible. I'm just about to walk in and go sign up at a pool that I can finally swim at. I have to make appointments. There's really limited hours, but I can make it happen. My biking is okay. My running is also pretty bad, but I'm going to work on that as hard as I can over the next 6 weeks. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show up to St. George, and what happens, happens. And I'm just going to enjoy being out in the sun. But I want to give you a taste of what these next 6 weeks are like. We're going to see what progress I can make together over the next 6 weeks. Key for me over these next few weeks is really to not ego run. It's really easy to have that imposter syndrome or to feel like, wow, I once ran double marathons and now I'm, doing 4 to 5 mile runs, and that's perfectly fine. But I just want to stay within myself and not injure myself, because if I injure myself, that is what's going to screw me. All right, so that was my first time back in the pool in about a year and a half. I got 1,000 yards in at a minute 50 pace, which sounds not terrible, but the giant asterisk there is I took a lot of rests in between those laps. It was hard, but I haven't done it in a year and a half, and I wasn't an amazing swimmer beforehand. There's a little bit of imposter syndrome going on where it was so hard to swim that, but I try to remember the fact that when I started swimming, it took me 4 weeks, 6 weeks to be able to even do like 100 yards straight. Whatever. We all start from somewhere and we all can improve. So that's where we're at for today. It's good to be back in the water. Hey everyone, Wednesday. 2 things today. One, Dick Hoyt died. If you don't know the story of Dick and Rick Hoyt, they were sort of the pioneers at getting enabled athletes into the sport of marathon and triathlon. So amazing story. I've been lucky enough to run with the Kyle Peace Foundation and help push an enabled wheelchair athlete at the Marine Corps Marathon. If that's something that interests you, I highly recommend looking up resources in your area to see how you can participate. It's sunny, so I had to break out the pink shoes today. And the second thing is Ironman Texas got canceled today. So what does that mean for St. George? I don't know. All right, so that's it. We're done. That was an hour and 15 minutes, more or less steady. There were 3 or 4 like 2-minute breaks in there, but that was a pretty steady, continual workout at 70 to 80% of FTP, and it felt great. That felt really good. So here's where we're at. We're 5 weeks to Ironman 70.3 St. George, and I just want to share. I think for me right now, I've got a lot of basically like imposter syndrome going on because the running that I've done in the past, the swimming I've done in the past, and where I'm at right now with those sports. And it's mentally really frustrating, and it's easy to go out and kind of do too much too quickly. I mean, even this last week, I've wanted to run further. I've wanted to run faster, but either cardiovascularly or, muscles wise, I just don't have it in me. But the biggest thing I want to share is I think a lot of you are probably in that point too. And if you're returning to a sport, you can't compare yourself to where you were. You're just going to injure yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself and, train yourself appropriately for where you're at right now, not where you want to be or where you were. And that can be hard. That can be an ego hit. But it's always better to undertrain a little bit than to overwork yourself and injure yourself, especially if you're like me and you're on a really condensed timeline. I don't have time to take 2 weeks off. Like, I'm barely going to be in running form a little bit on St. George if I don't get injured. And that's my goal. My primary goal is to just start running a little bit and not get injured. And that's the goal. Swimming. Even this week, just getting back in the pool, 3 sessions, I've gotten better. I'm feeling the water a little bit again. I know a lot of you comment that, you have such a hard time swimming, and I empathize. I was about as bad as anyone can be, genuinely. I'm not just saying that. I was truly as beginner of a beginner as you could be. But the great opportunity in being in a position like that is you can only get better. And not only can you only get better, but it's so rewarding, because you go from being unable to do something, no matter how bad you want to being able to do it, and then being able to do it better, and then being able to do it at a level where it's secondhand or boring. I've used the word boring to describe my first Olympic distance swim, and I think boring is almost what you want it to be, because it can be that relaxing and that enjoyable where you just go out and do it. It's second nature and you don't think about it. I'm excited for these next 5 weeks. I'm excited to see people and to be on a race course again. I know that St. George isn't going to be what I hoped it would be originally when I signed up for it, but that's okay. So if you're along on this journey with me, let me know. I'm excited. If you've got a race coming up, I hope your racing is going well too. Remember how it feels to be right before a race and always wishing you trained more. Like, we always want to have trained more right before the race. So I'm trying to capture that feeling now, because I've waited as long as I can wait. I made a lot of mistakes and I skipped a lot of work, but now it's time to harden up. With that said, if you want to join me for a TrainerRoad group workout on Sundays, you always can. Link in the description below. Sundays 11 a.m. Pacific. And I'll see you next week.